What's poppin', ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, back in the garage again, and today we're continuing on with our spinning around with our wire tuck or semi-wire tuck. I'm still trying to debate on how I'm going to do the actual headlight tuck, but if you're not sure where we're at, I'll catch you up to speed. So the passenger side wires have all been pulled through the firewall, which we need to do that to connect the chassis harness for our Wireworks harness. That's all plug and play. Now we need to do the same thing for the driver's side. Unfortunately, that means undoing everything that I've done, meaning pedal set, the brake booster, and all of that stuff. So what I'm actually going to do is do something I don't want to do. I'm gonna go ahead and pull the whole damn dash out. Be very careful. Yeah. Or at least get it to where the dash is kind of movable, because I have to remove some other things. But long story short, I need to get these wires through the firewall, so everything's plug and play. I may pull this through, or pull them back through the firewall. Now, I do have a bunch of stuff over here in my pile of trash. To do this properly, I've got zip ties, flex tubing, which we can put all the harness wires into, and of course everybody's favorite electrical tape. And if you want to do this on a budget, go to Lowe's or Home Depot. I'm gonna get busy either removing the dash or partially removing the dash and go from there. Talk about scary. Got lucky, got it out undamaged, uncracked. Keep your fingers crossed, nothing happens to it. Here we are. This needs to be popped out and removed, and then the pedals can come out. So we gotta move this, and then we can get the pedals out, pull the wires through, do what we need to do, and it's pretty straightforward. Now, if you've never pulled a dash out, there's a screw here on either side, one here, and then one on the side, one in the bottom center, and then one up top here. And unplug all the plugs from the fuse box and a ground wire. Make sure you don't catch any of this stuff on the way out. We're gonna try to be very careful getting the stuff out and pull these wires through. Pedal set is out. So here we go. Now we can start to see what we need to pull through, and you can see that harness right there is what we need to pull through and deal with. This is an absolute mess. I don't suggest it, but this is how you do it. Okay, kids. So we have our big wad of wires pulled through the firewall. Now you can see these are obviously the TPS brake plugs, that type of stuff. This wiring right here that I'm grabbing, I'm going to zip tie off. Now the decision is, I could drill a hole, over here, in this deep dark corner, and send all the wires through. Do I want to do that? The truth is, I don't think so. Now, if you want to do an ultimate tuck, you can obviously pull the fender off, drill a hole through right about here, pull it through here. Now, that's a traditional way of doing it. However, what I'm thinking of doing is actually looming it all up and then pulling it, going down, and then running it underneath here around the bottom. But that's where I'm at right now. I'm gonna make a few decisions and think about it. Okay, as you can see, I have removed the fender. Unlike an EG or EK, there really isn't a lot of space in this area. Now, normally with an EG, EK, you'd kind of maybe drill over here or go on this side of the firewall and drill over here, but down here is where the fuse box is. Now, around this area is the only spot that you really have to kind of get through, and to be honest with you, is that spot maybe right up in here. As you can see, there's a seam sealer there, and my thinking is that if I were to drill a hole right there, it would just encourage, water to come through. So, we have a seal here that we can tape off and not really have a problem with water coming in. What I've done is pull this off. I did a little slice, but when we put it back in, we'll have it like this. So it should be fine. I did that because I only need this amount of wires to go back through the hole. So what I'm gonna start to do is zip tie all this off and begin to loom this. And I'm gonna run it down at the bottom section of the engine bay. So let me get started on that. All right, so we've got our wires going out right there. We're gonna start to loom this stuff now, but as of right now, what I have is them zip tied nice and clean. So I'm gonna chop all these off. obviously. Then I'm gonna loom it, pull it through, and get a nice, you know, flush action up against the firewall down in there. And so I've stopped right about here. If you notice, this is the cruise control. I may retain cruise control, not sure yet, but you know, if I need to. But then this is all the front stuff. So this will be pretty simple. I'm gonna run it on the bottom. You can see there's a couple holes here and here that we can zip tie to and stuff, and we're gonna see what we can do as we go. All right, we got the boot in there. It's a pain in the ass. We got the boot in there. Now we can kind of go to the other side and loom up everything. All right, quick update. Here we are. We've got this section all loomed, looking all pretty, zip tied, fresh taped. Now what I'm gonna do is send it down and tuck it away, and then I'll deal with all of this accordingly. So we're almost done with this side, thank God. Right, so here we are with our little ugly situation. If you notice, I have run the ground junction here. I'm gonna have to put the fender on and tuck everything here, but I've also got the horn hooked up, but mainly the harness is gonna go underneath there and down and under. Now, there is a little bit of concern here whether or not the alternator is going to be in the way, so we're going to have to just pay attention to that. You know, if need be, we could probably get some slack and, you know, zip tie it around here, pull it back, pull it down, whatever we need to do. That's our main concern on this side. We'll just have to see how it goes as we start putting everything back together and make sure it fits. But as for now, this works. Thank God that side is done. Now I can start to get this side put through the firewall, start putting this thing back together finally. And of course, you know, all this is pretty ugly, but this is gonna get loomed and taped up. Doing the wire tuck this way, I haven't cut any wires. This is obviously just some temporary stuff that is pretty awful for the headlights. So we're gonna get all that situated and taken care of. Nice, clean, heat wrap, heat shrink, bumper lights. And I may even retain the reservoir hose for the squirter. So I'm definitely thinking about keeping that. So we're looking good. It's time to move forward, thank God. As all of that can be, you know, done and put together later. This is where things get a little kind of cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Now what I'm going to do is zip tie all of this stuff out of the way. Yes, I have yet to cut any wires except eject some grounds, which there was a junction ground here for like the map sensor or something like that. I'm gonna zip tie all this out of the way and kind of, you know, try my best to keep it clean, because obviously the clutch pedal's got to go up against here. You know, just move slowly as we put it all back together. So I'm just gonna have to take my time with this one. I really wish I could nail through this and you know, make it super simple, but it really is just patience and time. You just got to take your time and be patient with this type of stuff. Kids, if you're keeping score, I've been thinking about this, about how to put all this back together. If you notice, this is the section of wires that I'm not using, I won't need. I'll need to, like, you know, rope them or tie them up in a circle and kind of hide them. Now these are the wires that I will need for the chassis harness. Now thinking about putting all this back together and making sure that it fits all nice and tight, this is the plan that I came up with. Hopefully it should work. Now what I'm going to do is put the pedal set back in first, so that way I can clear all the wires, make sure they're out of the way, nothing getting kinked or anything like that. Before I attempt to put the wires through the firewall, I realized that the wiring harness for the engine and the chassis harness probably needs to be hooked up before I put all of this back together. So what I'm saying is that I'm going to put the pedal set back in, get the chassis harness connected, because it will need to run across, and before I pull the headlight harness through this side of the firewall, I will need to pull the engine harness through. So that way grommet is nice and tight. We won't have any issues or problems with that. And the same thing will happen over there where we'll have all these extra wires that will need to be tied up. And that's just in case we need to reconnect them for some reason or dig a wire out. We know exactly where everything is. Again, I still haven't cut out any wires, haven't cut a thing. I'm gonna put the pedal set in, get the wires all situated, and actually probably go ahead and attach the clutch cable, because all that's pretty tight up in here too. Definitely before I put all the vents and the dash back in. Let's make an attempt. All right, so pedal set is in. I just pushed the clutch cable through. Go ahead and get that hooked on there, so we've got plenty of space for that. If you notice, a lot of wires over here, but it does clear. I'm going to, you know, zip tie them out of the way. It's all good. we're gonna make it. Gonna hook all this stuff up. Thanks to C2 Spec, does the automatic to manual conversion harnesses. That should make things pretty simple. So I'm gonna go ahead and start putting this stuff together. All right, making some stupid progress here. If you notice down here in the floorboard, not a whole lot of crap. It's because everything's been mounted up nice and neat. I actually have the steering column in here. Okay, as you can tell, I have the mirror floated on. I'm sorry, the fender floated on, and I'm going to show you what I've done. So here we have the fender, obviously. We have the horn hooked up, and then this is the bumper light. Somebody's blowing me up. Headlight goes here, fog lights go here. We're coming through here. This is the sprayer nozzle thing. Cruise control, but we're not going to worry about that right now. Now, if you notice, what this is doing is it's going to come up in here, and I'm going to cut a little slit and you know, form fit that a little bit better. That's pretty much it. I know this isn't the most perfect wiring explanation ever, but that's pretty much how it's going to be. It's going to be relatively clean once I get it all, you know, tightened up and put back together. It's going to be you know, double zip tied so it doesn't fall, you know, right there or anything like that. So pretty smooth. And I'm working on the other side. It's the same thing. Now, the reason why I've kind of halted on this side is because I'm trying to decide if I want to tuck the fuse box. I can, it's very easy. Just those few plugs. This is the headlight harness, but I also need to put the Wireworks harness through the firewall grommet. So I may do that, you know, go ahead and put the harness on here, or at least get everything situated in that corner, so that when I go to put the engine in, it's just click, click, boom, and we're ready to go. That's where we're at, moving forward. So no longer any wires over here anymore. Okay, beautiful people. All right, guys, so back in the garage another day. So we're gonna give you the overview, maybe a little bit more simple explanation on how we ended up doing the wiring. So you can see that the headlight harness is coming down here underneath. Now this is not finished, but the point is to finish it after I get everything in and everything fits nice and neat. So you can see the ground junction there. I'm gonna tie all these off where they go. Here's the headlights and the fog lights, the horn, bumper light, corner lights right here, and these are some of the AC plugs right here. Now if you notice back here, it's zip tied off, but if you notice, this is what I did. I cut a little hole here. You know, we're gonna make sure that nothing's gonna hit this, make sure that the wheel's not gonna hit it or anything like that, because if it is, then we'll have to figure it out and go with a new plan, maybe go underneath in the front or something before we get it on the ground. All in all, we've got plenty of length if we need to extend it or anything like that. The Wireworks harness, I've already got put through the grommet on that side. So you can see all that's nice, tight and sealed. The hole right there is for the AC, and we're just trucking right along. We're gonna be doing a fuse box tuck. You can see that things look much better underneath here. These are the ABS wires. Once I know I don't need these, meaning the car works and functions properly without any of this stuff hooked up, which it should, I just don't want to cut anything just in case. I probably will cut those eventually, but for now, I'm just kind of hold them off to the side. These are the fuse box plugs, and all the ECU plugs are already plugged up. Everything's plug and play connected, ready to go. So putting the dash in, it might be ready to put the dash in, but that's going to be on the next video. All this rambling, the whole point of me trying to get to this point is that saying that if you're going to do a tucked harness on one of these cars, you might as well pull the dash out, and reinstall the dash is going to be like the last thing that I'm going to do. I was really hoping to kind of go ahead and finish the interior and just deal with the you know, engine and stuff, but I honestly took things too far. I probably didn't need to go this far with you know, doing this swap, but I think the end result is going to be much nicer and way cleaner overall when I'm done. So this is where we're going to wrap this video up. Thank you guys so much for watching, and in the next video, the B16 will go in this thing. So see you in the next video. Thank you guys so much. Peace out.